We're live. Hey.
We are live. The live stream worked. Hey, I see the live ring around my head on X. That's pretty good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. All right. That's great. Awesome. Join us live. Let me put something in my...
Yeah, I'm going to put something in my feed.
Post here. Join us as we live stream Business Podcast now.
Get caught missing out on lessons for the charmed life. Shannon.
Perfect.
Gene and I are live right now recording this week's episodes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to have my, you know what'll mess up our schedules? I have to have my tonsils out sometime this summer. That'll be exciting.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so I won't be talking for, I don't know how long it takes. I don't know. But
yeah,
that's what's messing with my throat, I think. That's always good. All right. If you're just joining us, we're getting ready to record 2 episodes of Business Brain. One will air Wednesday and the other one will air on Friday. You get to enjoy both.
Preview them. Yes.
Preview them here as we live stream, coming from you coast to coast. We're bad.
It is coast to coast. We're nationwide. That's right. Yeah.
One of my favorite phrases.
Yep.
I love those guys. Okay. All right. Very good. I'm excited. I can go anytime you are.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock.
I'm ready too.
Let's make it happen. See if I remember how to do this. Business Brain, episode 632 for Wednesday, March 19th. Small Business Development Centers Day, also International Clients Day, 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we try not to dilute them, while we use them to help tune our business brain so we can each be living those charmed lives. Our sponsors for today include a new one and a continuing one. SelectQuote.com/businessbrain. That's where you can go to get the right life insurance for you for less. And Shopify.com/businessbrain, where you can sign up for a $1 per month trial period. We'll talk more about both of those in a little bit. For now, back here from South by Southwest, back home from South by Southwest, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in Northern California, I'm Shannon Jean. How was South by Southwest? Had a great time?
It was. It's always, I never know what I'm going to, exactly. Like I build a schedule, but it's you never really know how things are going to go. And
is that because the nature of the show, or is that just, other shows are more structured? You kind of know what to expect, or?
There's so much at South by that it's hard for me. I joke. There are 3 main sections to the conference. There's the tech portion of it, whatever they call that these days, the film portion and the music portion.
Okay.
I do 3 podcasts, right? I do this one for entrepreneurs. I do a Gig Gab for musicians and Mac Geek Gab for Apple/tech users.
Right.
So it's almost like they built this for me. And but I never really know whether, like last year, for example, I went to see the Black Keys. I assumed that was going to be something that I would cover for music. But no, the whole experience of getting in there became an entire show.
We did an episode
for us here, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing happened this year. I've got many things to talk about on this show, but I never know, like, if I pre-compartmentalize things, I'm almost always wrong. And I kind of love that. So I kind of go in with a loose framework of a schedule and a very open mind. And I just kind of see what happens it's the one conference where I can basically follow my muse the entire time, and I'm always gathering content, even accidentally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah. Like I
good.
joke with them that the platinum pass is the pass that gets you into all of the all facets of the conference, and I joke with them. I'm like, I say, I believe you created the platinum pass for me.
Nice.
And they don't disagree with me. They're like, well, it's kind of perfect for you. I'm like, that's why I said that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing more of those,
Yep.
that data dump over the coming weeks.
That's what it'll be. Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, that's great. Hey, I want to talk about a topic that something I've been writing about and thinking about. And the concept is that, you're as business owners, our customers are expecting to be disappointed. It's kind of the natural status, kind of waiting. It's like, okay, and I don't know if it's always been that way, but I feel like it's that way now, where people, and what I mean by that is they're from the start to finish, they're waiting for your if you're in a service business, they're expecting you to be late.
Yes.
If you are delivering a product, they're expecting maybe it's not going to get shipped on time.
They're going to bang up your walls when they're bringing the couch in.
Yeah,
like you
whatever.
Yes, it's true. You wind up with that expectation.
You're like on guard for it, right? You're and I think I think it's a problem, but actually I think if you are aware of it, it's an opportunity.
Huge
right?
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes.
To show them all along the way, and maybe, even build it into your messaging and your SOPs that you create for your people to follow.
For like your employees to follow or whatever. Yeah.
For your employees, like everything from, okay, you shipped a product, they're expecting it to be not on time. When they open it up, they're expecting it not to do what you said it was going to do. They're expecting it to, if they have a problem with it, they're expecting not to be able to talk to anybody when they call you.
There's no support.
There's no support.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Right.
We've been Googleized, right? And Amazoned. There's no phone. There's no.
It's true.
There.
Yeah.
We've
Right.
just grown to expect that. They're expecting when they return an item, if they do, that it's going to be difficult. And when the product is returned, they're expecting that it's going to take a long time to get their refund back.
It's so fascinating. Why is there? And maybe we shouldn't answer that question because it might take too long. But there is the rhetorical question of why is it that way? And I'm in the moment of experiencing that right now. I've earned enough. I was part of like a status challenge with JetBlue. A status match thing.
Yeah.
Like if you have status on one airline, we'll give you the same status on ours, and then you have 3 months to fly enough that you earn the status.
To earn it, yeah.
And
Did you talk about Mosaic?
Mosaic. I completed that last night. I got the 3 tiles that I needed by flying home last night. My status match period ends today, and it takes them longer. Yeah. Your points don't get added immediately. Now, I asked them, is it when you decide to add them or is it when they're earned? They're like, no, it's when they're earned. So, and of course, I save screenshots of these conversations.
Because you're expecting
disappointed. This to not work.
Right.
And I was even thinking today, I was like, because I was looking, I'm like, well, did they get added yet? Like, because if they hit before midnight tonight, it all should work. And did they get added yet? No. Okay. Well, we'll see. But why am I expecting it to be a fight and a problem when it might just work?
Yeah, but it seems to, when it just works.
But if it does, I will be surprised, delightfully surprised.
Yes. So that's the opportunity.
You can delightfully surprise your customers.
Yes.
You
can take that, in many cases, it's a minor effort, right? It's better communication. It's not relying so much on procedures that are just baked in and giving people autonomy to make a decision to solve a problem, which we've talked about on the show a lot.
Yeah.
And think about I forget what the hotel is that they give everybody who works there has the autonomy to spend $1,000 to make a guest happy or to solve a problem.
Yes.
Well, I often say, hey, how much money would you pay to get a negative review removed from Google or Yelp or whatever? And they look at me like, you can do that? I say, no, that's not the
you
point.
get to do it ahead of time.
You do it before you get the negative review. Yes. So when the customer says, I need it overnight, and your natural inclination is to say, oh, no way, man. That's going to be $100 to ship it to you overnight. Well, would you pay $100 to get that negative review removed? Removed, easy for you to say. But of course you would pay $100.
Yes.
So spend it before you get the thing. So just, this framework, I think it's worth talking to your team. It's worth looking at your procedures. If you're a solopreneur, worth looking how you do things, what you do, how you respond to client. Like my business is often success is predicated on how quickly and thoroughly I respond. And I'm always shocked that people are like, oh, I can't believe you responded, And is this,
and it's like, I can't believe my competition did not.
Correct. And
that's always my answer.
Yeah. So I just think that it's a good prompt, if you will. Let's think of it like that. A human prompt to get you to start thinking of ways to eliminate those opportunities to disappoint your customers.
All right, folks, look, we're all about protecting what we build, right? Our businesses, of course, our families, obviously, and yes, even our craft beer supply. But here's the thing. If something unexpected happens to you, will your loved ones be financially protected? And that's why our sponsor SelectQuote exists. SelectQuote isn't some one-size-fits-all insurance machine. No, they've been helping people for nearly 40 years find the right life insurance policy tailored to their needs. And with their network of top carriers, you can save, and I could save, up to 50% compared to other companies. Need up to $5 million in coverage today? If you're in good health, you can get approved, no medical exam required. Shannon and I spend a lot of time talking about living that charmed life, don't we? But a big part of that is making sure the people we love are taken care of even when we're not around. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/businessbrain. Go to selectquote.com/businessbrain today to get started. That's selectquote.com/businessbrain. And no, they don't offer life insurance for goldfish, but I checked just in case. And our thanks to SelectQuote for sponsoring this episode. So look, I love talking about smart ways to grow our businesses. And if you've got something to sell, our sponsor Shopify is the tool that makes it happen. I use Shopify for merch with my other businesses and podcasts, and candidly, it's so seamless that I sometimes forget I even run an online store. It's true. Shopify gives you the best checkout experience on the planet, and with Shop Pay, conversions can jump by 50%, which means more sales, fewer abandoned carts, and a whole lot of ka-ching. Whether your customers are strolling, or making impulse buys at 3 a.m. while eating leftover pizza, Shopify makes sure they can buy wherever they are. So, if you're ready to start living that charmed entrepreneurial life, upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. Shannon, you ever think about taking a sabbatical?
No.
Yeah, same.
I don't know how I would do it. I mean, okay, I have some things to say about this, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Me into it.
So I went to a session. It was actually a taping of a podcast called The Happiness Lab, which is hosted by Yale psychology professor Laurie Santos, Dr. Laurie Santos, of course. She was talking with DJ Dodonna, who is from the Sabbatical Project, about the benefits of sabbaticals in the workforce in general, and for people in general, and the benefits to companies and all of that stuff. And they were talking about how it's almost unheard of outside of academia. And even within academia, the percentage of people that are taking sabbaticals is going down. And it was a really interesting taping to watch, because I'm like you. I couldn't imagine doing this, right? But this guy wound up doing it, and and now he goes and sings the praises of this, and he says you need to, the first thing to do is not just take a vacation, right? You need to leave with enough time so that someone else is doing your job while you're gone.
Does that work? Yeah.
Well,
How does that
I mean,
work?
yeah, like,
if you had somebody, if you're getting, I mean,
we talk about this though.
Yeah.
We talk about this here, where like as a business owner, you create the idea is to make your business run without you. Right?
I get that. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
But not even. But this isn't just for business owners, because this is for your employees too. And so they say that 6 to 12 months is great, but at least 4 months is the right amount of time so that the job gets done. And I'll never forget, when I was at Citibank, I knew a guy who was very senior, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm taking 5 weeks of vacation starting in like 2 weeks or maybe 2 months or something." And I was like, "Wow, that's a long time." He's like, "Here's the thing I've learned, Dave. You take a week off, you come back, there's a pile. 2 weeks off, there's a bigger pile. 3 weeks off, there's an even bigger pile. 4 weeks, there's no pile." He's like, somebody else decided they're not going to wait for you. And he says,
that's interesting.
And DJ Dodonna was explaining that people will learn to deal with your absence.
I do agree with that.
When you get an autoresponder from somebody that says, effectively, it's more polite, less blunt than what I'm going to say, but effectively, I'm out, and I'm going to declare inbox bankruptcy when I come back. So if you want me, email me again in September.
You do that already on shorter thing, and I think that's terrific. I love that idea.
But I don't actually declare email bankruptcy. I say that I'm going to, but I don't.
That's still a good tactic.
I know,
I
but
think it is.
but it's not. It's not as good as it could be if I actually just erased my inbox. Because the point of the sabbatical isn't to train other people, it's to train ourselves.
Yeah. So
and they say that the first 6 to 8 weeks are required to become yourself again.
Be amazing. Yeah.
I know. And go ahead. No, go ahead. I've got lots to say. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to. I'm going to recall my previous, oh hell no.
Of course.
I can't imagine doing it based on my life now. Let me preface that. When I was running, multiple companies and that kind of thing, I had enough people around where I think I could have done it.
Yeah.
But I still don't know that length of time. I mean, I get itchy after a few days of, right? I get the, and don't get me wrong. I feel like for the last 10 years, I've kind of, even though I've run multiple businesses, I feel like I'm semi-retired, right? I feel like, especially once I sold Tech Restore in 2017, I'm like, okay, I got a lot of time. I can do whatever I want with my time. My wife and I joke around when there's a 3-day weekend. We're like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean?
So I feel like I've had a sabbatical because I have so much flexibility in my life. And maybe if you're in a corporate world or academic where it's just day in, day out, grind, rote, maybe it's really more important to make you think like Shannon already thinks.
Maybe, but I don't. I think that's wrong. In fact, I had some thoughts about you that while I was at South by may have been like catalyzed by this, but I don't think so. It was just in general. I was thinking about like what you're doing these days, and I want to do an episode about that, but not one that we live stream, because I really want to have like a friend-to-friend conversation, and then at the end, you get to decide whether we publish it or not, right? But
okay, that's great. That scares me, but that sounds great.
Right. We do this for each other sometimes. So
I know.
But this is he addressed the type A kind of people like us that are always like, the idea of a working sabbatical is. It is good for some of us, right? Because if you or I were to just be like, I'm just going to go sit for, like, that's not going to happen.
Yes.
So the idea is to make sure that whatever you're doing for that period of time is not something that is at all similar or related to what your job is. So if you've never written a book
I see.
You
That's
focus
a great
on writing
idea.
a book.
Yeah.
If you've never, like, he learned to write songs during his sabbatical.
Wonderful.
It's something
Yeah.
he'd never done. If you want to learn a new language, I mean,
Or an
that's a lot of
instrument
work.
or something like that.
Right, or an instrument. Right, whatever.
Some challenge keeps you going.
Keeps you mentally engaged, all those
different.
things.
Yeah.
And one thing that he talked about, and I know you and I, we've never had this conversation, I don't think, on the show, but it's probably worth having. He said, everything, if you organize it correctly, you're creating what he called regret insurance for yourself. The regret,
like that.
you're on your deathbed,
Yeah, I
what
like
didn't
that.
I get to
Yeah.
do during my life? And then the other way to think about it is when we hear ourselves say, when I'm going to retire, I want to do this. And
That's
I
a
know
mistake.
you and I don't think that way,
Yeah,
right?
no.
But if you hear yourself say that and it's not something you can simply start doing right now alongside your job, well, that's what you do during your sabbatical. Do it while you're still
I like it.
able and all of those things.
Sure.
And where it becomes beneficial for you and I, it is, and again, I'm still not sure how I would ever do this, but we lead by example, right? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I realize you don't currently have like a team of employees or anything, but if as a company you decide you want to give your employees the opportunity to do this, they won't do it unless they've seen you do it, or
yeah.
they know that you are planning to do it. And there's nothing that says, if you're out there listening and you say, "Oh man, I gotta do this." And definitely check out the Sabbatical Project. They do a much better job of explaining all this than I'm doing in this, very condensed summary here. But you don't have to schedule it for like August. You can schedule it
Sure.
for August of 2027.
I see.
Right? And now, not only are you creating a framework in your head for it, but so are the people around you. Like, okay,
That's
this
powerful.
this isn't scary. August 2027 isn't scary today. So, okay, that's when I'm going to do it. That's when I'm going to leave. And now you've got all this time, and you're essentially, like you like to talk about, you're writing you're starting backwards, right, with the story.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know that I'm going to leave for 4 months, starting in August of 2027. So what do I need to do to make it so that I can actually do that and feel okay?
I think that's a really interesting take on it. I never
Yeah.
thought about the power of having it out there.
Yes.
At a future date. And it also, if you're the owner or whatever, it helps you put systems in place to compensate, which
Yes.
could in effect, they always say you should be running your business like you're going to sell it tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that similar to that it helps you learn to work on the business more than in
Yeah.
it every single day. So I like that framework. I think that could be the most powerful thing you've said in the last 20 minutes.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Hey, I'll take it.
I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it was for me too.
People like us.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
I'm going to say something that is not. It's a broad generalization, and if you're
Sure.
in this case, don't take it wrong. But in a big corporation or big academia, it's easy just to say, yeah, go ahead, take 4 months, whatever.
Yeah.
But in my businesses, in my life, if somebody says, yeah, I'm going to take 4 months off, I'm like, okay, you're fired. How do I hire somebody
I got to hire somebody else. Well,
how would you do the work?
that-
But the planning for it, I like that idea.
Well, and then they talked about what, as an employer, you could or need to offer people in order to make this realistic. And the question, of course, the big question is, who pays? Right? Are you still paying full salary for your employee? Obviously, if your company can afford to do that and chooses to do it, that's amazing. If you can't, or simply don't want to, then
Sure.
is there partial salary? And fine. But what they talked about, which was really interesting, is that for most people, if they're planning enough in advance, the money, missing out on 4 months of salary is something you can plan for.
Yeah, sure.
For sure. What everybody kind of came back to the table and said was, if at the very least, retain their benefits through that period of time.
Whether you like furlough them or whatever they call that.
Exactly. Whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
sure.
yeah, whatever you have to call it to make that work.
Yeah.
And that was enough. Like the people they surveyed and talked with, that was enough for people to say, okay, if I can retain my benefits, great. Then I can work out the rest.
Yeah.
Now, that's not going to be true in every case, obviously.
Sure.
But as employers, this is how we have to think about this. So
yeah. And I do think that to reiterate, because it's a really good point, is that using that as a tool to muscle up your infrastructure and the systems and your SOPs and who handles what, to like, okay, guys, we got to get this going because so-and-so's taking, or I'm going to be gone for 4 months in August of 27. Let's make sure by this time. That's a really nice draw.
It is.
Right?
And
I like that.
What I didn't really think about before this, because I never really entertained the idea, was like, that only works in academia, right? It doesn't have to be that. Like, that doesn't need to be true. People take sabbaticals all the time in the United States. We just call them maternity leave, or paternity leave, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
It happens, and you are doing a completely different thing. Like, all the things we've talked about are exactly that, right? Your job is not part of your mindset. But you certainly have a project.
A new challenge, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Something you've never done before, potentially, So, so we do have this framework, but even in academia, people. This is interesting that I brought up the maternity thing. Now that the wheels are turning, people plan their sabbaticals years in advance in academia too. Now, maternity leave is often planned maybe 5 to 6 months in advance. Right? When you finally realize, oh, okay, I'm pregnant, it's time to tell people, and then you just deal. So this is, imagine being able to plan that far out. And I know some people do that with their kids. They're like, oh, I need to work for 2 more years, and then I'm going to plan it so that, we get pregnant in February, and then we have the thing, and sometimes that works, and of course, sometimes it doesn't. The way biology goes. But yes, this idea of planning far out. So
that is great. And I appreciate the discussion here because I had no concept of that other than blowing up my brain saying, are you kidding me? But when you talk about it and you create that framework of this it's very intriguing to me as a tool in your business to, make things better. Yeah. And I agree 100% that we all, there's that phrase, touch grass, right? Get out and do whatever. And all of us would benefit from getting away and doing some new challenge and taking on a different role for a few months at least.
Yes, so at least, right? It might be life-changing for you.
We've done it our whole life. I mean, from starting business and all that kind of stuff. So how could we not agree that it would be an amazing experience and good for the person and good for your business, right? That I definitely agree with. It's how you structure it that's important. So that's amazing.
Give yourself time. Put it on the calendar, and then off you go. I haven't put it on my calendar yet. I'm too petrified of that.
I'm not doing that.
Let us know what you think. Feedback at businessbrain.show. And then go to businessbrain.show/review. Leave us a review too. We have a backlog of reviews that we got to talk about. But
nice.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
future
leave
here.
that review and win a MacBook.
Keep living that charmed life. All right, sweet. We are out on that one.
Terrific. Yeah, that's a good topic because it really made me think in a different way.
I know. Same.
Yeah. It's that's interesting.
I had never thought about it before.
I don't know how it's possible, but when you frame it that certain way, you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Like,
and certainly, it would be amazing as an owner. And I could have done that. No, I think I would have gone nuts. But to your point is,
don't just sit around.
No, you can't just sit
you
around.
would have to do something else to occupy your time.
Yeah, I could go work on one of my properties for a month and not get all the projects done and not feel rushed.
But that's your business, so you can't do that. That's not allowed. Doesn't count.
Dang it. See? Popping my balloon.
Doesn't count.
If you're still on the live stream with us, we're in between episodes. We're going to do a Friday episode coming up in a couple minutes. Dave is prepping the content for me to work on a little bit after the show so we can get things published quickly. We're lazy podcasters, so we don't edit very much. We want to just roll it and keep it casual, and people seem to like it. So I think that is fantastic. If you stick around, which you should, for our Friday episode, we have some AI updates, and we're also going to talk about lessons from Blue Sky, the social network which I know nothing about. So I'm looking forward to learning what's up with that and how to make it something positive.
Yeah,
should be really good. Very good. And today is we're live streaming on St. Patrick's Day.
It is St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
that's right.
And we had our celebration last night or yesterday.
As many did. Yes.
Yeah. And I smoked 3 different types of corned beef.
Oh, nice.
It turned out amazing. Yeah, it was really great.
Fun.
And we made. My wife made Jameson and Bailey's Jello shots. They were very popular. And,
I bet.
Yeah, it was great. We had a great time. Had just family over, but it was about 10
I
people.
learned something. I started playing with a new band this year, and we play a lot of. It's like a hard rock band that plays like Journey and Motley Crue and Kelly Clarkson and Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah, fun.
It's great. Our singer, it's an all male band, and our singer can hit all of those notes, which is amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it's really fun.
Nice.
But that band plays a lot in biker bars, which is awesome. I love playing in biker bars. Yeah, everybody there, it's just so like non-pretentious. They just come out to have fun. It's great. Love it.
Cool.
But that alcohol is obviously a big part of that community, which is fine. And what I had to learn the hard way is that shots, those Jello shots, they count the same as like a regular shot. Like you got to keep track of this stuff. Yes. Yeah. Because when the third Jello shot comes to the stage, and I've already like had a beer and a half or something, don't take the third Jello shot.
Yeah, it does.
This is bad for business.
It sneaks up on you.
Big time.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Because it's like, it's a Jello shot. This is fun. Aha.
We do
whatever.
them twice a year. Easter.
Yep. Yeah.
Renee makes the eggs that are like Jello shots, and then then there wasn't a second time, but she figured out how to make these cool little, Jamesons and with the floater. But it was all gelatin, so it was cool. We had a great
That's
time.
fun. Yeah, that's fun.
It's a good time.
I'm almost finished here.
Oh yeah, no problem. Always a good reason to have people over and enjoy things. But we are going out tonight to a place with some friends. We got invited with a dual piano bar.
Oh, nice.
Irish
pub.
So,
yeah. Oh, cool.
Should be interesting. Yeah.
I remember I obviously, well, maybe not obviously, I did not play a St. Patrick's Day gig this year, but I have, and the ones that I have played have traditionally been, I'm looking for the topic for our next show, or my notes for the topic for our next show.
Yes.
But the ones that I have traditionally played have been morning gigs. I'm not far from Boston, man.
Yeah.
I would show up at this bar in Manchester, New Hampshire we would play 9 to noon.
Okay.
So I would show up at, 7:45, 7:30 to load in and, set up and be ready to start at 9. And the place would be packed with people who were already hammered. They had been there since 6 a.m. They would do a breakfast thing. And these people were professionals. They would be there all freaking day.
That's rough. I don't know how you do it. I can't do it
Dude,
anymore.
I could never do that.
No, that's too much.
No. And you get there and it's 9 o'clock in the morning when you start, and they're like, "Well, what kind of beer do you want? You want a Guinness?" And I'm like,
"No,
I
do not.
If I have to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird singing like at 9 in the morning anyway. So it's like, yeah, fine. Let's start the Guinness. Like, let's go. I'm going to embrace it. But yeah.
That's great.
It was the first time I showed up, I was like, what are all these people doing here? Like, I couldn't find a parking space.
Oh, man, that's crazy. Guinness makes actually a really good non-alcoholic version.
Oh, I haven't tried that.
It's
no kidding.
Excellent, man. I like
the taste and the flavor, and for like at gigs, Guinness is one of my favorite things to drink because it's not carbonated and it just feels so good on the throat, but it has enough alcohol in it that it numbs the throat just enough.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, it's one of my favorite. I take it medicinally.
Yes,
at
of
gigs.
course.
Yes.
Of course. Smart.
Yeah. Well, there's also a thing called state-dependent learning, and if you learned all the songs at rehearsal while you were having a couple of beers,
Yeah.
you just keep that
you
flowing.
get back in the same state. I like it.
State-dependent learning. Yeah.
I like it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great.
There is some truth to that.
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
Yeah. It's not an excuse though.
No.
All right. Ready to do the next one?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. I don't have enough liquid here.
Okay.
Speaking of,
Do your thing. Do your thing. Okay, Dave's gone. Everybody, you can send your messages now and tell me what you really feel so we can get going here.
Tell Shannon how you really feel.
Yes.
So I'm drinking hop water. Have you ever had that?
Oh yeah, we have that. It's great.
I love hop water.
Yeah, that's Lagunitas, right? Yeah.
What's that?
Owned by
Is
Heineken.
it?
Well, which kind? There are different ones. Is it in a
No,
glass?
it's called hop water.
Okay, different. That's a different type of hop water, but we have that here too.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like no calories, no alcohol, no sugar, none of that. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool.
Does your hop
Good
water
stuff.
have? This has what's it got in it? Ashwagandha in it and L-theanine, so it's got a little bit of a relaxing. They're nootropics. They kind of Yeah.
Sounds like something from Lord of the Rings. So I don't know what
It probably is.
Yeah,
They probably had that in Lord of the Rings, too.
Eldron and Rivendell.
Eldron.
So yeah,
That's right. Rivendell, but that's okay.
Rivendell, whatever.
I think my nerd is showing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I've watched it many times. I've read the books many times. Yeah, well, I would say many. I think I've read it because it's a long haul. I think I've read it 3 times. So
wow, that's a lot. That's okay.
well, I'm an old man now, so I read it when I was young,
time.
and then I read it when I was
fair.
a little older, and then I've read it probably 10 years ago again. It's really good. I read it again after I saw all the trilogy that I thought was so great.
So great.
And it was it actually flowed better in my mind, which is unusual. It's actually the opposite, right? I usually don't go see movies that books I've read because I'm always often bitterly disappointed.
No, those were done well.
Yeah. Nothing's usually as good as my imagination, but those were Peter Jackson just did a phenomenal
They hit
job,
the mark there, man.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Characters, right?
They came to life.
The casting,
the people that were in my
Yes.
mind, I
Me
saw
too.
on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, and what's interesting about that is a lot of us had that experience, right? Like the characters that existed in our mind, we saw them on the screen.
Maybe.
That tells me how good Tolkien did describing those characters, because once you put them on the screen, what was in your mind now could be shattered, right? Or whatever.
Yeah,
but yet
that's correct. Which is often what happens.
But all of us looked on the screen. It was like, that's what I saw in my head. We all had basically the same vision in our head.
Yeah.
That's impressive from Tolkien's standpoint. I mean, that guy was off the rails.
Oh, man. Unbelievable.
The whole reason he did it was because he needed to create
a religion, right?
A land. He had written Elvish as a language. And he needed a framework for why this language needed to exist.
Amazing. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, yep.
Awesome.
I got to stick with I said blue because I'm saying blue sky, the bullheaded persistence, because I don't have that kind of creativity. That I haven't found it if I have it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, it's crazy.
All right.
Okay.
Shall we?
Yes,
Let's
do it.
6:33 here. Okay, here we go. Business Brain, episode 630. Going on. I thought that problem was fixed.
Me too.
Yeah, I thought whatchamacallit fixed it, but it did not. So what I'm just looking to see if there's anything going nuts here. No, we're just gonna roll and hope it doesn't happen again. Business Brain, episode 633 for Casual Friday, March 21st, Twitter Day. Also, National Common Courtesy Day. Yes, 16 years, I believe, Twitter, as of today, 2025.
That's cool.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some ideas and we crunch them and use them to better tune our business brains to keep on living those charmed lives. Our sponsors for this episode include Shopify.com/businessbrain, where you can sign up for a $1 per month trial period and selectquote.com/businessbrain, where you can get the right life insurance for you for less. Here in Durham, we'll talk about those more in a little bit. Here in Durham, New Hampshire, for now, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in Northern California still, I'm Shannon Jean. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I figured Twitter Day was a good day to talk about Blue Sky.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it other than, is it Jack Dorsey's thing or is he just different?
So, yes and no.
Okay.
But yes. I mean, more yes than no.
Okay.
So, Blue Sky is it's become a social network.
Oh,
it was not conceived to be that way. A lot of people see it as the Twitter alternative, open Twitter, free Twitter, whatever.
It uses,
right?
What it connects to, what is that?
Yeah. So where it started inside of Twitter, the idea was Jack Dorsey said, hey, we need to build a new platform upon which Twitter can run.
Okay.
And we believe he was just posting something. And he said it needs to be open, like open source and federatable and extensible and all those things so that the platform isn't like beholden to like the company or whatever. And this woman, Jay Graber, who is now Blue Sky's CEO, was on board as a programmer at Twitter, started her career as a digital policy advocate, and got into building decentralized social protocols. So she replied to this post of Jackson, said, yes, I'm interested, and joined a group of people that were talking about this concept. Yeah. And kept talking about it, and they decided that it should be owned separately from Twitter. It should be broken off so that the platform isn't in order to keep the platform from being influenced by the corporate direction of Twitter. The platform should be its own thing. And Twitter for a short period of time had a board seat at Blue Sky, but that doesn't even exist anymore. Okay. So it's its own platform.
Yeah.
Yep. Obviously Twitter has yet to, or X now, like things changed in terms of how Twitter was owned. Obviously, it was taken private by Elon Musk, right? Yes. So it's not Elon Musk's X is not using the Blue Sky platform.
Got it. Right.
Whether they do someday or not, I mean, the current direction would be surprising if he chose to do that, but who knows? You never know. You never know. Right. Yeah. Exactly. But the app that we know of as Blue Sky was really just built as sort of a placeholder, a test bed to test the platform that they were building. And then people started joining it, and it was like, oh, and then the things happened with Twitter, and the people that weren't happy with what was going on at Twitter is like, well, maybe Blue Sky is a good place to go because Jack Dorsey, is behind it. It's got some legs, and there's 30-something million people on it now, and it just keeps growing. So there was this keynote. It was an interview. Jay Graber was being interviewed by Mike Masnick from TechDirt, who has been a big Blue Sky user and was part of that sort of working group initially as people were sort of throwing out ideas and all that stuff. But yeah, it started in December 2019 when Jack Dorsey said Twitter is funding a protocol that Twitter will run on eventually. And it's interesting, right? Because it is this federatable network.
What does that mean? Explain to our listeners what that means.
Right. So what that means is everybody can run their own Blue Sky server instance if you want.
So like what do they call that game? Roblox or Minecraft or you get a virtual server, so to speak, somewhere?
No. You would run you could get a virtual server, but you do it however you want. And then And it's like what's happening with Mastodon, and they're similar in a lot of ways and different in some. But what it means is like you could run your own Blue Sky server. I could run my own Blue Sky server, and I could say I want to run a Blue Sky server that is for musicians, and you could run one that's for people in the auction world, and then you and I and everybody else that runs servers gets to decide do I want to federate with Shannon's people?
I see.
And
Okay.
if I'm okay with what who your people are, it's like, okay, yeah, no problem. Right? No, all
you
good.
as the admin can decide to carry
Yeah.
it or not. Okay.
And the idea is everybody federates with everybody else that they want to federate with, which for the most part is everybody else. But there's no one sort of truth. And that means if you decide to take your server down, well, those people could move to another server and still communicate with the infrastructure. And that's the big deal. And Blue Sky is built out that way too. You control your own content. You can, move it somewhere else if you want to. And they're doing interesting things with the platform. The moderation on it is kind of one of the most interesting things. And I've had a Blue Sky account for a while, and I never quite realized this. Moderation, and when I say moderation, I mean the filtering of posts, right? What you see, what you don't want to see. It's all done by plugins, essentially. I don't know that they call them plugins, but they call them labelers, right? Where you build an engine that will look at the content and label it. This has expletives in it. This is pictures of cats. Okay. This is whatever you want to do. You can build these labelers, and there's tons that are sort of pre-built, but there's also anybody can build a labeler. That's fine. You could have a thing that labels content that has politics in it. You could have one that labels this appears to be AI generated images versus pictures that people have taken or whatever. And then you can turn on and off these labelers as you see fit. So like Jay Graber was using the example. She's like, sometimes if I just am using the platform to test it for things that we're doing, she's like, I turn on the politics filter because I don't want to get sucked in. She's like, I like, getting sucked into the politics, but not when I'm trying to work, So she'll filter it down to things that are more for her mundane, right? So that she can actually just test the app without getting distracted.
Sure.
And she says sometimes on like a day off or something, she filters it so that the only thing she sees is, what does she call it? Cats or something. It's just like pictures of cats. Sure. There is this filter out there.
I seem to recall Jack Dorsey talking about how you should be able to select the algorithm this sounds like this in action, right?
Yeah, these labelers are just algorithms, and you're picking which ones you put in place.
And I would say, and I mentioned this before, like I couldn't use X before until you were like, look, here's how you do it. Mark these posts not relevant. You had to train the algorithm. Because like I don't see, like on my feed, all I really see are business related, entrepreneurship, and that kind of thing. I see nothing else. Now I have another account that I go and log into that's like the Crazy Town, right?
Crazy Town. Yes. That's the only way to do it on X.
Because otherwise
really.
It makes it you're trying to go get some work done or do some things, and it's just overwhelming. So that's awesome. That sounds great.
No, it's interesting. And what Jay talked about, because Mike asked her, well, how are you dealing with toxicity? And she said, well, that's it. Like, it's a choose your own adventure. You define who can interact with you, who you can interact with, and you can even, if you wind up in a quote post, which was like a reply thread that gets off the rails and you can extract yourself from those, which is great. And if you're dissatisfied, you build your own alternative.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the thing. And so that forces Blue Sky to be incentivized to keep serving users because they've made it easy for you to leave.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? Yeah, it's baked into the business model, which I love.
I do too. And it allows you to decide what's toxic and you to decide what what
you decide what's toxic or enjoyable.
Or enjoyable. So
you and I might choose polar opposites, and that's okay.
Correct. And maybe that solves for the polarization, right? Where people are arguing so much. It's like, hey, why are you arguing? You don't have to see this. Right?
You get to pick not to see it.
You get to pick.
And you actually get to pick in the moment, not like I trained you or told you to train the algorithm. This is going to take some time, but it's like you just literally flip a switch, and no one's there trying to intuit Well, I know they flipped the switch, but maybe
Are
if
there
I show them
ads?
this.
Can you buy ads on Blue Sky? What's their revenue model?
You know, they didn't talk about the revenue model at all. So I don't know. They have a 21-person team right now serving 32 million
That's
users.
crazy.
Which is
Nobody's
amazing.
answering the phone when you make that call.
No, probably not. But you probably, just get support on
Yes. That's
Ask
awesome.
on Blue Sky. All right, folks, look, we're all about protecting what we build, right? Our businesses, of course, our families, obviously, and yes, even our craft beer supply. But here's the thing. If something unexpected happens to you, will your loved ones be financially protected? And that's why our sponsor SelectQuote exists. SelectQuote isn't some one-size-fits-all insurance machine. No, they've been helping people for nearly 40 years find the right life insurance policy tailored to their needs. And with their network of top carriers, you can save, and I could save, up to 50% compared to other companies. Need up to $5 million in coverage today? If you're in good health, you can get approved, no medical exam required. Shannon and I spend a lot of time talking about living that charmed life, don't we? But a big part of that is making sure the people we love are taken care of even when we're not around. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/businessbrain. Go to selectquote.com/businessbrain today to get started. That's selectquote.com/businessbrain. And no, they don't offer life insurance for goldfish, but I checked just in case. And our thanks to SelectQuote for sponsoring this episode. So look, I love talking about smart ways to grow our businesses. And if you've got something to sell, our sponsor Shopify is the tool that makes it happen. I use Shopify for merch with my other businesses and podcasts. And candidly, it's so seamless that I sometimes forget I even run an online store. It's true. Shopify gives you the best checkout experience on the planet. And with Shop Pay, conversions can jump by 50%, which means more sales, fewer abandoned carts, and a whole lot of ka-ching. Whether your customers are strolling, or making impulse buys at 3 a.m. while eating leftover pizza, Shopify makes sure they can buy wherever they are. So, if you're ready to start living that charmed entrepreneurial life, upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. Happy Friday AI, Shannon.
Friday AI. It's that time.
It is that time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
yes,
that
yes,
day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in seeing what you're doing with AI, what I'm working on. I heard a comment that I thought was really valuable to frame AI, is that not that any industry or any person will be replaced by AI. It's they will be replaced by people who use AI.
That's currently true.
I think that's true.
I mean, I think here's where there's a nuance to that. There are many jobs that will be replaced by AI.
Right.
That doesn't mean AI is replacing people.
Correct.
It is replacing the job that you are doing, and that will allow you to do a different job. And
hopefully
probably part
Yeah.
of that job will be better because you're leveraging AI to do it.
Yeah.
And that to me is it's the only mindset. I mean, I say it's the right mindset.
No,
Whether it's
I
right or wrong,
agree.
it doesn't. It's the world we're
Yeah.
in. It's like any sort of productivity revolution that we have had, right?
Yes.
Where we had machines to build stuff instead of people, but we
right.
needed people to run the machines. This is that. We need people to prompt the AI and guide it and all that stuff.
Exactly.
And to build the AI too.
Build it, implement it, and do better with it.
Yep. I mean, look, our jobs have changed because of AI.
Yeah, dramatically.
This segment exists because of AI. And the way we do the show exists because of AI. It has replaced some of the functions that we used to do.
Yep.
And now we're doing them. I think we're able to produce more content because we're not spending the time like we didn't
That's
used
correct.
to do. We didn't used to do bespoke images for every episode,
No.
right? And even when we did, we were pulling from like Shutterstock, and they were kind of
Always
kludgy and
appropriate, and
yeah,
it
it
looks
was
like,
like
or
meh,
just, not
whatever.
good
We were
context.
punching the ticket, right?
Yes.
And now we get to tweak them a little bit because we're literally, we're coaching this AI through it. I've had some people say, "Well, you're putting an artist out of business." I'm like, no, I'm not, because when I'm publishing a podcast, I know you publish this podcast, where you basically do the same thing that I do for my other ones. When I'm publishing my podcast, I have exactly 4 minutes from the time that I have the idea in my head for what I want the episode image to be, and the time that I am finished creating the episode image. It's done. So I don't know any artists that can be on my beck and call for
exactly.
a 4-minute job a few times a week. That doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. Yeah, it wouldn't work. Yeah, I agree.
But so I wouldn't use it in the past. Like that was the difference, is I never used an artist to do this because there's no time in the workflow for that.
Yes, correct. That's
nobody's
great.
job got replaced. My job just got better because of it.
Yeah, I like it. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll mention one of the AIs. It may be kind of boring, but for me, it made my life so much better when working. If you have to take, like I use Zoom all the time. Okay,
sure.
I have calls. I help. I host groups. I do different things. Whether I'm advising people or just trying to connect and trying to meet people or trying to help them out some problem. Zoom has a built-in AI called the AI Summary, which is great. And you can interact with it during your meeting. Like if you miss something during a meeting, you can query it and say, "Oh, did Dave say? I thought Dave said this 20 minutes ago." So you can go back and forth, and you can make it available to everybody in the group, so you can keep things going, and it can highlight what's going on in your meeting. But for me, one of the most powerful things, part of the AI summaries, Zoom has a thing called Docs, like documents.
Yep.
And it will create, it's like a transcript on steroids, right? And there are lots of different, apps that do this, Otter, Fathom, you name it. There's a ton of them that do that stuff. And we've used Otter and stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
But what the Zoom Doc does is it understands the nuance a little bit more and good enough to where if I meet with a client or someone and we talk about, we're going to do this, and this is okay, your next step here should be this, and I'll get this deliverable for you or whatever. It creates a very detailed list of action items. And so much so that, like with my content manager that I meet with every Tuesday morning as we start, get going, it creates the tasks for the week that each of us are going to do.
That's excellent.
It's I don't even think about it. It just, we talk, we have our thing. It's very natural interaction.
Yeah.
And at the end I say, "Hey, go pull our weekly tasks from the call and put them into Slack. So we both have these to work on."
So we have them. Right.
So we have it. So you just have it. It's like a, I don't want to say to-do list because I don't like those, but
no, I've been changing my internal monologue to use reminders instead of to-dos.
Yeah, the reminders is great. That's what they are. They're reminders.
Well, it never bothered me before, but once you said it, it was like, oh, I like that, but much better. Because it's me reminding myself later. That's it. I'm offloading the task. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think you have to have a paid account to use the AI Summary. I'm not sure, but they have various levels. But if you're meeting with remote employees or anybody, they're like, "Hey, can I call you?" I say, "Well, let's do a quick Zoom," because then I can focus on this. Yeah. I don't have to remember anything because I'm not good at remembering anything.
You could even do it without video. Like you could, you could just have an analog or an audio call.
Correct. You could just
let
have an
Zoom
audio call.
be there. Oh,
yeah,
I like
pulls
that.
it up. It
That's
works
good.
really well. It's definitely worth every penny that I pay for it.
I got to start using that more. Now I see the light. Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
I like
How about
it.
you? Any new AI in the last week or so?
Yeah, we do Mac Geek Gab, and we had somebody write in that said they like Perplexity better than ChatGPT. They're like, "I know you guys keep talking about ChatGPT. I moved from ChatGPT to Perplexity. I'm now paying them every month because it just works better." And so I did some experimenting this week, A being the two. Now, I don't have a paid Perplexity account. I have, right? So it's not an apples to apples comparison. But for certain things, it was really interesting. I was standing in the airport waiting for my luggage to come at the beginning of the South by Southwest week. And for some reason, I was thinking in my head about, like, when is Mint Mobile going to support, or when is Mint Mobile going to support RCS on the iPhone? There's this whole move from SMS to RCS, right? And I was like, when is that going to happen again? Like, I know they said Q2, but like, is there a date? And so I asked ChatGPT, and it said, oh yeah, it as of March 2025, it supports it with iOS 18.4. And I was like, wait, what? How did I miss this?
Yeah.
And it was just very nebulous to the point where it sounded like a ChatGPT hallucination.
Yeah.
There was enough detail missing. Now, it turns out it was correct. But I was like, let me ask Perplexity this question. I'm just standing there in the airport. So I pull it up on my phone. Literally the same question, copy, paste the prompt. And it said, yes, Mint Mobile is currently supported on the iPhone for people running iOS 18.4 beta 2 or later, which came out on this day.
So
and I was like,
had much more nuance to it.
It was more detailed and it was more convincing. And then, of course, I was like, well, it doesn't matter that I'm traveling. I'm updating to the iOS 18.4 beta because I want to get this RCS support with Mint Mobile. And I did. And it was correct. It absolutely worked. And it, like I said, it turned out ChatGPT was right about this too.
Directionally. But not.
But it was just like, it was too nebulous. It was like, no, I want, it was so, and I did a few other things throughout the week where I asked both of them things. And there is a, Perplexity was giving me more direct answers for things like that.
Okay.
I wasn't using it as much for like the deep things because I would have to pay Perplexity for that, and I just aren't, I'm not yet. But like, it's interesting. So
it is interesting.
It's now I'm keeping my eye on Perplexity.
I'm curious about it too. Yeah, I don't want to get. I love GPT, but I find that some of the I don't want to miss out on something else that is taking another step.
I mean, they're going to keep leapfrogging each other, all of these engines. And so at some level, you got to pick whichever one is going to be your primary, but don't just live in that bubble, I guess is the right advice, is to, test things occasionally so that you know that whatever you're using is the best thing for you. And then you can go from there. So
that's awesome. I think it's great.
Yep.
We'd love to hear about AI you're using in your business to solve problems, increase productivity, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, let us know.
Feedback at businessbrain.show. And be sure to go leave us a review at businessbrain.show/reviews, and we'll get you entered to win a MacBook. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, we want to give that MacBook to you. Businessbrain.show/review. Keep living that charmed life. We'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend.
Later. And we're out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the live stream. 536 of you. Fantastic. And I hope you enjoyed the show. This the first episode that we recorded earlier will be out Wednesday the 19th, and then the second one we just recorded will hit every podcast app on the planet on the 21st. And we'll see you again here next week. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, everybody. Later.